I'm Lori Blocker, and we are 4 miles south of Ashley on my farm where I work and make my living.
How do you make your living?
I raise livestock. I have cattle. I have about 110 stock cow operation that I run by myself, and I also have chickens and ducks and geese, just basically for my own use, for butchering and just pets, I guess.
How difficult is it to run an operation like this by yourself?
It has quite a few obstacles in it. It's a challenge to figure out how to hook things up alone, and just mechanical work wise, it's not an easy occupation, but it's something I've enjoyed my whole life. I grew up on a farm, so it's just been my lifestyle all these years.
Okay, why don't we go back to growing up on a farm? So why don't you tell us where the farm was you grew up on and how many siblings you might have had?
I grew up on a farm about 11 miles southeast of Ashley, North Dakota, and we milked cows and raised hogs and chickens and ducks and geese all those years. The ducks and geese were basically my mom's thing, and she did that to buy Christmas gifts for us kids. There were 10 children in our family, so I was in the middle. So we had lots of chores to do all the time. We had to help milk cows in the mornings before we went to school, and help feed the pigs in the evenings when we got home, and take care of all the other livestock and cook. Saturday mornings, the girls, we always took turns cleaning, and one of us had to make the bread for the week, so we always made homemade bread every Saturday. And that was pretty much what we had to do for chores.
How many boys and how many girls were there?
There were 4 boys and 6 girls.
Did you think that the girls got different chores than the boys did? Were they treated a little bit differently?
Not really. The boys didn't have to help clean in the house as much, but as far as outside, we all had to pitch in with everything. Whether it was hauling bales or cleaning barns or driving the tractors, we all were taught how to do that at a pretty young age.
So all the mechanical stuff you were taught as well as probably the kitchen stuff.
Yes, yep.
So what you said tractors, I mean, what type of specific things like field work did you do?
I helped mow hay and rake, run the swather for cutting grain in the fall, run the combine, helped seed in the spring. I did a lot of plowing. Growing up, we did a lot of plowing, so did a lot of that. Just basic field work, cultivating or whatever needed to be done.
Now, in earlier generations, on Saturday, farm people would take off and go to town. When you were growing up, was there anything like that happening?
In our family, not so much. Folks once in a while went away in the evenings, but as a family, we very seldom did anything on Saturdays. Sundays, growing up, we went to our grandparents' house a fair amount, and that was usually more so my mom's side of the family, and that was down by Groton. And my dad's side of the family grew up in the Webster area, so we didn't get there quite as often because it was further to drive. So,
Why don't you tell me about going to school? Where did you go to school?
went to grade school and junior high in Eureka, South Dakota. It was about a 30-mile drive from home. So we were on the bus usually about 10 to 7 in the mornings. And the school, we didn't get involved in too many extra activities because folks said it was too far to drive to get us home from school if we couldn't ride the bus. So,
But you had all your chores to do, didn't you?
yes, yep. Yeah, we didn't get too many luxuries of extra sports or staying in for a lot of activities.
Now, on Sundays, you mentioned going to your grandparents. Were you religious growing up? Did you go to church?
Yes, we did. We went to the Lutheran church here in Ashley, and still a member of that church today. I'm actually on church council right now.
So after after your early junior high, what happened after that? Where did you go after that?
I moved to this farm where I am now and been here ever since. I had kind of like foster parents, and they took me in and I helped. We moved buildings at the time. We moved buildings till around 2013. That was a whole new experience, but yes, it was a good growing up. I went to high school here in Ashley. It was closer, and I was involved with paper, the school paper in school here, and drama. Other than that, I never was too much into the sports thing. So
You said you moved houses. Were you also doing some things on the farm during
yes,
that period?
yes,
What
yep.
type of things? Go ahead and tell me.
Same, pretty much the same thing. I had my cows here at that time already, and they had a few pigs and chickens. And we did some seeding. We grain farmed some at the time, but I don't really grain farm anymore, not more than for my own livestock use.
But you mentioned you had a lot of chickens.
Yes, yes, we used to run around 700 laying hens, and we sold eggs to the bakery and to the hospital, and the grocery store still bought them for a long time, so we did sell a lot of eggs.
You made some noodles.
Yes, lots of homemade noodles. My foster mom liked to bake wedding cakes and stuff, so whenever she baked cakes, the egg yolks, she never used the egg yolks in the cake mix because it kind of made them yellow all the time. So we always made homemade noodles out of the egg yolks when she baked wedding cakes. So there were sometimes we'd make like 15 pounds of noodles at one time. That was a lot.
Why are homemade noodles better?
The homemade noodles are better because of the chickens running free. They get all the grass and just the whatever they find out in the yard to pick on and stuff, and they're not caged up. The eggs just have a lots better taste, and the yolks are more yellow.
Does that make the noodles look different?
It does. When you buy noodles at the store, they look so pale, there's hardly no color to them, and the homemade ones are so nice and yellow from the yellow yolks on the eggs.
So when you were, pardon me, when you were after you moved up here and you're going to high school, then after high school, did you help out more on the farm?
Yes, I pretty much full time. I've never had a job off the farm other than I do help our veterinary here in town, kind of as needed basis. They have sometimes larger sales in the fall of the year and do cow sales and stuff and need a little extra help. So a lot of times I do help with that. But other than that, I've just been farming all my life.
Do you like working with cows?
I do. I really enjoy working with cattle, being around livestock in general. I'm a totally outdoors person. I would sooner be outside than in the house any day, even in the wintertime.
And you like your chickens too, don't you?
Yes. And I got lots of colored chickens and roosters now, and like to incubate eggs and hatch babies myself, and have a few young ones right now that we incubated.
Do you think that here you are, a single woman on a farm running a successful operation? How do you think people in town look at you as being a woman in agriculture by yourself? People ever ask you, why you do it, how you do it?
I do get asked quite often how I like farming by myself, and it's a challenge, but I tell them if you love what you're doing, that's half the work right there. And I totally do feel that way. I really do enjoy the lifestyle I'm living and don't know if I'd really care to have a town job.
Have you ever thought about that when you're growing up, about being a town girl instead of a country girl?
Not too much. I just had no desire at that time really to be in town, and I still don't care for town life a whole lot.
What do you think makes it special to you, this outdoor life, this non-city life? What is it special to you?
The peacefulness in the mornings, the beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and just nature itself. I really enjoy the animals and the beauty of our creation.
So you don't have a bad day when you want to pitch it all in?
Yes, there are some, but you gotta outweigh the good with the bad.
So let's talk about what is your most favorite thing to do on the farm? What is your most favorite thing in agriculture that you've done over the years?
I would say making hay and working with the livestock. That's I really enjoy cutting hay and driving the tractors and just the peacefulness of being on the farm and the solitude of working alone. And
Okay, the other side of that, what's your least favorite thing that you've done on the farm? What do you like the least?
I would have to say picking rock. As kids, we had to all help pick rocks, and it was not fun.
I would say that you're not in a minority on that. A lot of people, don't you have a rock picker now?
I do have a small one, but I don't pick a lot of rock anymore because I don't do a lot of field work. I only seed about 100 acres yet. And rocks aren't too bad on that.
Is that mostly for your own use?
Yes, yeah, just mostly for feed. I put about 40 acres in every year for silage for the cattle, and then I have a little bit just for small grains.
In addition to being alone, what do you think the biggest challenge of a woman running a farm is?
Maintenance of machinery and things like that it's challenging, and making the day-to-day decisions is also a big thing.
Why don't you tell me, how things have changed for you from when you first started being a woman farmer and how it is today, from either financial or how you're viewed in the community? Why don't you tell me about that?
As far as financing, I would say it's gotten better over the years, because from the beginning I always felt that they kind of were hesitant about loaning me money, being a single person, especially a lady. They seemed like they didn't want to work with you quite as well, but now I really can't say that I have issues as far as financing. But sometimes when you're out looking for equipment otherwise, I kind of feel they still kind of are hesitant to deal quite as good as probably would with a man on equipment sometimes. But it depends who you get for a salesman too.
Overall, do you think things have changed? And this can go back to as you look when you were a kid and you looked at your parents or grandparents. Do you think things have changed for a woman in agriculture since back then?
I think they have. Years ago, the women were more so stay-at-home moms and took care of things on the farm, which now most of the women work off the farm, and it's a little different. There's a lot of them that don't really know what goes on too much on the farm, even though they live on there. Their husbands take care of it, and they don't realize a lot of the day-to-day activities. And then you have the next one, she's out there working side by side all day long. So things have changed some from when I was growing up.
Do you ever talk to other women that are involved in agriculture? Do you get an opportunity?
Yes, I do. I have some good lady friends that are also fairly involved in agriculture, and we visit a fair amount.
What are some of the topics that come up?
How I take care of livestock in the spring by myself, or sorting cattle and different things like that. And just farm chores in general, I guess.
Do you ever hire people? Do you have to hire people certain times of the year?
For cutting silage, I have family that has silage too, and we usually just go together for doing that. But other than that, I really don't hire a lot of outside help for anything.
So you do all the calving and roundup, all that stuff yourself?
For roundup, I usually have my brother-in-law and a couple friends just come and help for the day. We will round up or sort and castrate calves or give shots. But mostly, for the most part, I've done everything by myself all these years.
Do you ever, I mean, we were talking about four-wheelers, do you ever get back on a horse to do that?
At the time, I haven't thought of too much about getting a horse to do that kind of work. The four-wheeler's a little more handy. You don't have to first go saddle up and get it. And for spring calving and stuff, it's handy. I'll keep my four-wheeler just in the garage here and just out the door, and away you're ready to go.
Do you think it's more efficient? I mean, we went to a roundup this spring, and you know, there's a lot of old cowboyish image comes to mind. Everyone's wearing their cowboy hats and stuff. It seems to work okay.
Yes, I enjoy it. For the last few years, I have a couple friends that come in when we do castrating in the spring, and we've actually done that with the horses. We'll get them rounded up, and a couple guys will get them in and rope them and drag them out, and we'll cut and vaccinate with the horses. I enjoy it, but for me to do it myself, I can't rope, for number one, so it wouldn't be most efficient for me.
Yeah, it does. I mean, when we were at the roundup, it does take a few people. You gotta
Yes.
hold them down. You gotta brand them. You gotta have someone castrating them.
Yep.
So that would be tough to do by yourself, I would think.
Yes. Yeah, the last couple of years, my brother-in-law and I did the cutting, and a couple nieces and nephews helped to hold them down. And like I said, a couple other buddies of his come and drug them out with the horses. So.
Do you think, even this modern day with all the machinery and everything, that it sounds like there's still a sense of community where you and your neighbors and relatives help each other out?
Yes, there is a good sense of community. I have a pretty good relationship with all the neighbors here. We don't do a lot together, but when I absolutely do need help, I have no problem asking any of my neighbors around here to help out for a little bit here and there.
It sounds like you still have a bunch of relatives around.
Yes, I have a brother-in-law and sister that live about 8 miles from here, and my mother lives just 3 miles south from here. So up to this last year, she's helped off and on when I've needed help with butchering chickens and stuff like that. She don't really help do farm work anymore, but if I need a driver to move equipment around, she has done that for me occasionally.
So when you mentioned you have some nephews that are involved helping you out as well?
Once in a great while. They're pretty small yet. So.
I thought I saw a picture up there. Do you have someone with someone that looked like a nephew, maybe in an athletic uniform,
Yes.
playing sports? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he graduated this past spring, but they live south of Hosmer, so they're about 30 miles from here too.
So where were they gone to school?
Hosmer, South.
Oh.
Well, they went to Hosmer and then that closed, so now they go to Roscoe. It's called Edmonds Central now. So.
I've actually heard of that, surprisingly. So, if it doesn't bother you, would you mind telling us just how old you are? Not for the air, but just so we know.
I'm 47.
Okay. If a young girl came to you and said, "I'd like to be a farmer," what would you tell her?
You got to be really dedicated because it is a lot of hard work. And you got to really love what you're doing in order to make it work and to have a good life of it.
And what makes it worthwhile for you?
Just the enjoyment of being outside and being my own boss.